Welcome back to game number 3, where it is 1-1 between TSM Academy and Cloud9 Academy. Both teams, Crumbs, have basically just traded pretty convincing games, so now we'll see what happens here in the third, as we have potentially a very long series on our hands. It does seem like these two teams are very evenly matched, and the chance of going the distance feels pretty high.
I can't wait if it's going to be a longer series, because at the end of the day, this is a showcase of the talent that Academy has to offer, and a lot of these players are just trying to buy their case for how they should be playing in the LCS, and they're given a lot of flexibility. I think the first game for C9 was like, oh yeah, we're going to play the standard way that LCS teams play, drafting the Azirs, the Jaces, the regular compositions, but game 2 showed us exactly what C9 is about. It's about those laning dominant picks, like the Lucian and the Mordekaiser, that was able to mitigate a lot of the potential threat that would have come out of TSM. And from the TSM side, it's all about bottom lane. It really seems like this is the way to play the game, and they are also fed up with Inori with a first ban on Gragas. All it took was one game. Send it down into the no-play zone.
Yeah, Shen also going to get banned away for, I believe, the third straight game of Fudge. Kalista going to be banned again away from Lost. Caitlyn continuing to be banned on blue side by Cloud9 alongside Olaf for Winston. There's the Galio ban continuing that trend for TSM, and teams are sticking to their side, so it feels like they're they're happy with their positioning in the draft. They maybe just have to work around a couple more picks, but Ashe and Akali will be traded for the third time in a row, Crumbs. It doesn't seem like these players will play anything else, and once again, the center there for loss, which I think after the 2v2 we saw, I can't really blame him for. It seems like it's a pretty well-positioned AD for this kind of matchup.
Not taking the set though, so I'm not willing to flex that. Thus far, set is 0-2 in this series, so maybe the set is cursed. That tends to be something that happens in series, where no matter how strong a champion is going to be, a specific pick is cursed. Yes, this combo is filthy. Evelynn and Lucian are absolutely a menace, because Lucian's mid lane power allows him to be as aggressive as possible, creates all the room that Evelynn needs in the early game to get to level 6, become invisible, and then she just deletes people, one-shots them. LPL started this, EU went through with it, and this is a pick that I'm honestly very scared for being back in the meta. You have to play her, you have to know how to play her, or else you need to make sure that you are banning it.
Well, there's the Morgana ban once again for TSM, as I don't imagine the second phase of this draft is going to look all that different, at least as far as the bans go. Teams have been pretty consistent about what they want to take away. But it's funny, I said that there's only one AP jungler and it's Lilia, and I know he's like, yeah, here's 2 more you didn't know about. As Gragas does get banned, and he picks up Evelynn instead to support Palafox there in the mid lane. Malphite also continuing to draw bans. I believe Camille was the call. I guess Jace last time they did this, actually.
It was
when they banned
Jax that got banned for the Camille, I think. Yeah, so.
Oh, also no Tom Kench ban. I actually left it open, banning away Ornn instead.
I mean, Ornn does make sense if you're gunning double ADs. You can upgrade to Infinity Edges. You get a ton of value out of that one. But without a Jax ban and a set instead, I think we're going to see a bit of a twist in the top lane department out of Fudge. He can play AP or AD. It really doesn't matter here when you have already so much damage from your first 3 picks. So all it takes for C9 now is to round that with utility. And another of these picks that is making rounds around the world. I am loving the diversity that we get with our Academy players, Pastry, because they are watching what the rest of the world is doing. They are implementing it into their own strategy ASAP. And the Skarner is just a great pick to eliminate these champions that are going to be pretty squishy. A flash ultimate nets you a kill.
They got some deep pockets here in the champ pools for both of these teams, but there is the gangplank. There's the Leona for Diamond. So not even going for the Tom, wanting to get aggressive in this 2v2 instead, and adding a ton of CC alongside the Ashe as well. That does leave last pick in the hands of Dokla once again. And as we've come to know and love, Dokla is often the weak side player. Will he pick something stable, or will he pick a counter? This is more on the counter pick side of the coin. And looks like Dokla is going to go ahead and lock in Jace. Now, To be fair, even though this is a counter pick, I think Gangplank, most of Gangplank's matchups end up going even because of how Gangplank wants to play the lanes. Also, I feel like every time TSM have picked Jace for Dokla, it's specifically to leave him on the island so we can keep playing weak side and just not fall as far behind. So I actually don't think that they're going to change their priority as far as where the junglers are going. I just think they're trying to set up Dokla for a bit more early game success.
I think you're totally right. In the regular season, there's been plenty of games where Dokla's Jace just gets left on an island, no help whatsoever. But unlike a champion like Renekton that actually has to get into the mix to influence the team fights later, he can just stand from afar, hit those shock blasts, and contribute to deleting the squishy carries that Cloud9 has. Although a pick like Jace can be a very easy target for something like an Evelynn to pick on. So this weak side pick could get punished very hard by what C9 has drafted, but there is also some good synergy that they have that can offset that. The speed gate with a Skarner makes her a very scary Scorpion.
Yeah, how the teams kind of play around the Evelynn really, because Evelynn is such a different jungler. She's like pretty greedy. She's very damage loaded. Doesn't have really all that much CC. She also goes invisible when she hits level 6, so it can be kind of hard to track her. So there's kind of a lot you have to do to adapt to the way Evelynn wants to play the game. So I am curious to see what Cloud9 want to do with this champion. You know, how successful can Inori be in finding angles with the Evelynn and finding skirmishes and/or team fights. And then on the other side for TSM, it's how much can they track Evelynn? How can they control her? Because if Inori does get ahead, this is the most snowbally jungler I would say he's played so far in this series, which does speak to his versatility. He's always very aggressive. He loves to, gank his top lane specifically, but in general, he's often just trying to find some sort of fight. This time, though, it's definitely a bit more personal power, a bit more selfishness, and definitely a bit more reliability on getting ahead early rather than kind of floating the early game and then hoping to find mid-game engagements.
You say snowbally. Evelynn is the only jungler that legitimately can make a case for every single game rushing a Magi. You get the Soul Stealer, you get your Dark Seal ready before it, and she makes so much work with that item because your execute also gets you out of harm's way, so you can ensure that you are getting kills and not dying at the same time. So the way they want to play with the Evelynn, the early game, she actually is one of the fastest clears in the game. If she can start stacking camps together, her clear is ridiculous. So if they can just make sure that nothing happens in the early game and that the laners are happy pushing, Evelynn is more than happy to trade level 6s with the Skarner. Skarner's going to have a lot of value with the Predator, of course, but Evelynn can farm faster and will always be a much greater damage threat than the Skarner can.
Yep, it's a pretty big difference in the runes as expected as well. It's Predator for the Skarner versus Electrocute for the Evelynn, so it's an easy way to figure out, what the game plans of the different junglers are. Also, I like this from Diamond, kind of just saying, you know what, I'm sick of all this 2v2 pressure. I want to have a bit more threat of my own. He's going to have Ignite in this lane. He's going to have a lot of threat onto the center, and the Lost is taking the cleanse to be respectful of the Ashe and Leona and all the CC they have from level 1, but especially as the levels crawl up and ultimates do happen. And Winston is not going to get some help this time. Skarner also relatively quick through the jungle, did get buffed pretty recently as well, I think 2 or 3 patches ago. So should be just fine, although as you said, Inori definitely expected to be fast here, especially on these smaller camps. Evelynn just shreds these wolves and the other AoE camps.
Her Q got changed, so the first one isn't so crucial now. You can actually afford to miss that one and just power farm away. But against the Skarner, it's not really the champion you want to be counter jungling heavily. If you're not taking control of those shrines, he can actually be really powerful inside his own jungle. So they're just going to ward the Raptor camp, make sure that they know what he's up to, because with a Predator, he can actually be ganking very early on. I don't know what his entire rune setup is going to be, but if he's running the Ingenious Hunter to reduce the cooldown reduction on those active items, he could be just ganking non-stop from the Predator chains into the potential Righteous Glory, if that's the build that he's going to go to. And here in the top lane, we see Fudge just doing a lot against Dokla, who's already on his last Flask and on a single Biscuit.
Yeah, kind of working on Dokla in the trades right now, but did get his barrel shot down. I can tell you, Crumbs, it is Ultimate Hunter for Winston, though, on the Skarner.
Okay.
So unfortunately, no ingeniousness today, but similar kind of feel. Just, you know, knows that so much of Skarner's power is in the ulti. Wants to probably just get to 6 as cleanly as he can and then try and chain ult all of the lanes. But as you mentioned, Predator can be pretty effective early on whenever you go back and decide to buy the brown boots.
Ooh, pretty fun watching the little games that have to be played in these laning phase, whether it's keeping a distance from each other, the grass procs on the gangplank or the 2-tap from Lucian. C9 solo lanes are already off to a really good start, taking a TP out of Dokla. Let's see if Fudge bases and is forced to use his teleport at the moment, or if he'll just try to stay around now that Dokla has both a D-Blade and Corrupting Potion charges.
Yeah, Gangplank's one of those champions that like is actually pretty interesting. For all of the intricacies. The unfortunate thing is that most Gangplank lanes end up just being like, oh, you look back and the farm's even again. So if you like little things in lane, Gangplank's a pretty fun champion to watch play just to go any champion. But almost every time we check in, the CS is even and they're just, you know, hanging out and pushing the waves or whatever. So you said you've been filled the top lane more recently, Crumbs. Maybe you understand that, you know, no one cares about the little things in top lane.
Top lane, once you accept that you're completely on your own, that's when you can start playing top lane. It's a miracle if you actually get any help from anybody. Your job, so much of it, is to help everybody else and expect nothing in return. It's worse than jungle, really, but at least everyone understands it. Most people don't even understand how the jungle is supposed to work, especially the lane, so it's always very easy to complain. Solo laners, no. I'm 1v1 here, man. I gotta have as much sustain as possible in these matchups. My health is my biggest resource, and Fudge will still hold on to his TP as he's farming away happily against the Lucian. Or the Jace.
Yeah, well, on the Lucian, Palafox is continuing to bully Evolved, who's actually 20 CS behind now. He will TP back to this lane, but it is not going well at all in the 1v1. And one of the interesting changes in this matchup is that we expected Inori to go top lane a lot more often, and he really hasn't. They've just kind of let Fudge and Dokla hang out and farm things up, and it has been Palafox that's been given more agency, you know, in this 1v1 matchup on the Lucian now twice against the Sakali. Inori's been focusing his attention in other areas as well, so Palafox certainly big beneficiary of the change in strategy here employed by Cloud9 in these last 2 games. Good hook there from Treats though, followed up by the lockdown onto Diamond. Here comes Winston as fast as he can, but Treats is taking a little too much damage. He got the Ignite on the C9 side, and that's first blood over to Diamond, but it will be traded back. Perhaps no Winston. Maybe not going to have enough damage here, and the TP's coming in too quickly. Lossus doesn't have the damage as Fudge will TP in to scoop up the kill.
The minion wave was so big for C9. When they saw that gank happening, they're like, wait, are you actually serious? You're trying to fight us right now? They had no business going for that. Leona is a great pick into the Nautilus because of her ability to survive his initial engage. So Treats goes in, pops the Aftershock right away, but then Leona can just tank this, and look at the wave, right? There's nothing that Lost can do. Everybody's getting aggroed by all of these creeps. They're being blocked by it as well, and I love how Tomo positions here. They know that Skarner is already dead. He just has to keep running forward to make sure that he commits to dying, that he's got no way out despite him having flash, doesn't have a chance to burn it. And for the first time in this series, the bot lane for C9 is ahead, and that is a really scary prospect considering that the C9 solo lanes are doing so well for themselves.
Yeah, just without ult, not a whole lot Winston could really get done there. Very well played by Cloud9. Just went around Inori though, in onto Winston. Doesn't have the ulti, but he's just going to flash over instead. No, doesn't have it. Or, yeah, doesn't have it. So Dokla are going to jump in and push away Palafox, but the top side of Cloud9 starting to open up the map a little bit more.
They wanted to take down the Skarner so badly. Committed 2 flashes for that, but it was the acceleration gate that got Winston out of that. And getting the Skarner flash is a big deal, though, because now he's going to hit level 6, won't have that flash, and that is what guarantees you getting that first gank and starting to chain those together. Because, like you said, you have that ultimate hunter, but a fight in the bottom lane breaks out first.
Another 2v2, but this time it's Cloud9 that still have the advantage. Lost is forced to flash away. Treat's not going to get healed up, but Leona's just so tanky in these fights that Diamond just really doesn't take much damage at all. Tomo now level 6, so that's going to force Treats and Lost to back off for the first time all series. Actually going to help out Winston there with a little bit of a heal, but the Hawkshot does spot them. So Skarner going to be close to 6. Lost is going to take the souls off the camp. I like that little rotation, especially given that bottom lane doesn't really have anything else to do. And as we can see, 12 stacks right now for Senna, which isn't too bad. This at 7 minutes, I believe you had those. At 8 minutes last game, he had 10. So he's doing even better on the soul farming this time around, despite the fact that Tomo and Diamond are finally winning a 2v2.
Yeah, they're winning that 2v2. They're very happy, and a lot of it is that matchup pace. Like you said, Diamond not only fed up with losing these matchups, so it takes a very powerful winning lane with the Leon into the Nautilus, but also because it helps the composition a ton. When you have a jungler that's really not about engaging, you need to have the hardest engage possible you could have from the bottom lane, and Leona fits the wheelhouse of both assisting your engage department and having a solid laning phase at the moment, while being a pretty abysmal target for a Skarner to pull in. So the pick is doing a ton of work, and now at level 6, Treats and Lost have to respect it even further.
Alright, well, mid lane is going from bad to worse as well for Evolved. He is almost 30 CS behind, and no help coming here. Powerfox has just been pushing the mid lane with impunity, and I can't really blame him given the advantage he's built up for himself just in farm alone. Evolved is doing what he has to do, which is sit back and farm under your tower, but it's not all that fun as a Kali.
It's what happens when you have a jungle Skarner. You know there's
Right.
no help coming early on into the game, and even if it does, it's not even packing a ton of damage. So unless you're half HP as the Lucian, you're never worried that a no ignite mid laner is going to take you down with a Skarner gank. So that let Palafox play a lot more aggro than in the previous game, where he had a Gragas that was trying to farm a little bit more early, and they were up against a set. So now C9's taking the advantages from the laning phases that the Akali have to go to base, and we'll be doing a early Dragon.
Yeah, a little bit later than the 2 already, but I will say that the team that has taken the first Drake hasn't won the game so far this series, so if stats don't lie, then Cloud9 are looking good in the early stages. In fact, almost 2,000 gold ahead at 10 minutes is pretty significant. As far as like a total percentage of gold gained in this game, that is a very significant advantage.
Oh, it's huge. And the Gangplank's only going to get stronger because he's now going to be able to start to one-shot the back line with his cannons. So farming is just amazing for him. He's going to get that extra gold. Right, plus 6 gold per one of those. Just basically 50% more gold per creep than Dokla.
Yeah, it does also mean that some of the gold numbers do lie to you a little bit because Gangplank prints money with his little barrel mint in the top lane.
I wish I could print money as well.
Would have some rippling effects on the economy. It's a little bit more complicated than that. Not in League of Legends, in real life. And I don't know nearly enough about math or economics to translate. Bottom lane is finally going in the right direction of TSM, despite the CS being different. And Inori is going to go ahead and take this Rift Herald here. So he has just had complete control of the jungle, and we continue to track the center stacks for Lost up to 20 now. So feeling pretty good.
And Nori feeling great too. Not a lot of action out of him early on, but when you're farming in 7, you don't even need the kills. You obviously want to be snowballing, but you will have one-shot potential. Nobody's going to be building magic resistance, so it makes your job so much easier. They can dive Dokla here. He has to be careful.
Ooh, spicy! And Ori, just enough damage with the execute there. Very well played to get that kill as Fudge drops the ulti in celebration.
Forever weak side is Dokla, and doesn't even have the chance to TP back here if Inori lingers, because they could just kill him again. He's going to do a lot of work here. They can pop the Herald right away, but he's going to use that to recall quickly. Might be saving that for another lane. So who does he want to donate that to? There is plenty of options. I think the bottom lane makes the most sense, as top is already doing very well, and if you can make sure that the TSM bottom lane doesn't get off to a good start or doesn't get out of laning phase well, there's nobody else that it feels like on TSM that can take over this game. But he's going top, so maybe a repeat visit to Dokla, who has no flash.
Yeah, he's got needlessly large rod now as well. Inori is not messing about. Probably Spellbinder, if I had to guess, is the upcoming item, but any of the items are pretty good if you're trying to snowball the game on Evelynn. So not a bad purchase if you can afford it, and Inori certainly can, given how things have gone. Hook is going to miss. Good sidestep there from Tomo, actually. Winston is back down here, but we have yet to see a Skarner ulti Crumbs. Yeah. But when you're taking Ultimate Hunter and going Predators, not the script you want to be writing for your Scorpion.
Right. Not ideal as a start, and it is really tough for the Skarner as a matchup into the Evelynn. You really don't have kill pressure on her by yourself, and the normal vision patterns don't work anymore. You actually want to be very aggressive against the Evelynn because you need to be warding her camp. She's too clever to be moving around and avoiding the regular vision despite the triple control wards on mid. I mean, that seems like a little overkill on that trifecta, little Bermuda triangle of vision there in the bot side for TSM's mid. And Evelynn can just sneak past it. So you want to ward the camps so that you can have an idea of what side she's in, what kind of route she's going for. Arrow misses, and Evolve will just walk away. But yep, Arrow gets popped to the mid lane, and more gold.
Ooh, here comes Winston. Oh. Good ult.
Nope.
Alright, gonna get out of there. As he said, ulti can be used as an escape tool as well. But Evolve is gonna take down the Herald. They'll keep the mid outer tower alive, which is nice, but the plates do get cashed in right before they run out here. As Powerfox and Inori continue to snowball themselves in this game. Gold is still, again, like 3,000 up just on these kills in this farm for Cloud9. Again, Gangplank is going to fudge those numbers a little bit, but Cloud9's still looking really strong in this early game here as they're keeping all of the strength that TSM was showing in the first 2 games to a minimum here with how they've adapted to bottom lane in this series.
They have 4 carries, and all their carries are farming quite well. They're pushing their lanes, they're getting plates. It's slow, but they're getting objectives, and as long as gold keeps trickling into their pockets, they're very happy here. So I think that C9 is just looking for the same windows that they did in the last game. Slow, calm, and collected, wait for that single big team fight, and suddenly blow the game wide open. The composition can definitely do so, and they're just a little bit closer to those major items, particularly the death cap out of the Evelynn is, I think, a huge buy for C9 that could just obliterate TSM's comp. But here comes the first major fight. Oh, misses!
Treats is caught out of position. Winston is going to pull somebody back, but Inori's still alive. The damage is massive, and that TP could not have been timed worse for Evolve as Diamond nails him with a solar flare. TSM get completely routed in that fight, and C9 going to scoop up the Drake as well.
Inori might be one of the few people who ever gets pulled by the Skarner ultimate and lives to tell the tale without even using the ultimate. He just got to live from how well the rest of the team collapsed and kept him alive with the summoner heal. And they're going to get blue buff, they're going to crash waves, the objective. This one feels like a great snowball. Let's see how it all started again, because it's TSM that looks to start, but the miss hook really hurts. And there's a big fat Gangplank ultimate here that makes it so hard for everything to follow through. And he actually pulls out the Evelynn away from the Senna ultimate, hoping to get the rest of the team to follow up. The teleport is late, and TSM just had no business going for that fight. They had not the items. They needed to go for a slower introduction into the lanes, like looking for a flash Skarner ultimate in the lane, maybe look for just plates in another part of the map. It wasn't even the third dragon, so there wasn't an incredible sense of urgency to take that fight.
I mean, I like that TSM are willing to show a bit more aggression and, you know, take maybe riskier fights, but that one just didn't line up together at all, whether it's communication things or just being a little overzealous in the situations. Whatever it was quickly countered by Cloud9. As top and jungle currently combined for 5-0-3.
I think when you look at the TSM composition, they actually don't do any damage unless they hard commit to you. It's only Senna that has any range. Nautilus, Skarner, and Akali have to go in right away and the fight begins, whereas C9 have a ton of poke tools to incite you to start the fight, whether it's the Ashe, the Lucian, even Gangplank and the Evelyn can just harass you before the fight starts. So when TSM commits to a fight, they're all going to die by the nature of their picks if they are behind. If they're ahead, they can just steamroll, but that's how things go when you're playing these all-in kind of picks. And now that they are behind, they need to regroup and try to really think about how to outnumber somebody with the damage department. Skarner and Nautilus cannot take down somebody by themselves. They don't have an Ignite, and they might be catching out Winston, who does have Flash.
Oh, good ult again from Diamond. Winston does have to Flash, and it barely kept him alive. I think the Evelyn ulti would have been enough, but the Flash from Winston does avoid it.
2 times does Skarner use his Flash to avoid being out of position. Instead of using the Flash to find a pick, the Skarner is not working this time around, and C9 is just running away with this game. It really feels like TSM should be thinking about the next game at this point. This composition is clearly having a very rough time, and it's not going to get easier.
Yeah, Evolve finally has his Gunblade, but 18 minutes is so late. So the lane has not gone well at all. Palafox continues to find lead for himself, but honestly, he's not even the biggest problem. It is actually the jungler and I suppose the top laner that are causing the most havoc right now. In fact, Fudge is setting up for a cheeky 1v1. Oh, nice little barrel chain. They can't be seen in the shrubbery. Dokla does have his flash, but Fudge doesn't have enough. Does get slowed enough there by the thundering blow. Oh, there's the ulti there to try and cut him off, and the rest of the C9 are going in. It's Palafox that dives in with the Culling to finish off the kill, but now Winston is going to get the CC chain. There's the ulti from downtown. 600 bonus gold to Treats, and the CC combo is going to continue. Under the tower goes Palafox, going to be forced to flash away. Where's the rest of the team? Here's Evolved, finally going to make it in time. Flips himself over. Flash ulti Q is the shutdown for the Akali.
Fantastic collapse out of TSM, knowing they need to just be looking for picks because C9 is continuing to abuse what's happening in the lanes. They get the gold. They're looking for a Herald now, which might be risky. There is an Ashe and a Leona right here. They don't actually know where the bottom lane is just yet. They could think about taking a 2v3. All the ultimates are down at a TSM, but with Senna roaming into the Herald, I think they'll concede it.
Yeah, lost here as well, and GP does have TP, but doesn't want to commit it here. TSM is going to go ahead and take the Herald. Cloud9 is watching to make sure nobody makes a mistake. And now TSMA are going to back off after finally getting some gold back in their favor. So watch this one again. I did like the setup here from Fudge. This is a very good look at a 1v1.
He's waiting for the hammer. It's like, is he going to hammer? Is he going to jump in? No, he doesn't. I'm in range. I go in, but then the phase rush just keeps him alive. Fudge with a flash queued with a Sheen proc and gladly taking down Dokla. Palafox comes in, but then it is through the jungle that the Skarner and Nautilus are speeding in. Inori would have actually been able to get away had he ran through the lane and not into the jungle again. So that is a bit of a misplay there, not respecting that TSM couldn't collapse quickly enough. I think Palafox had no way out, but Inori could have definitely escaped. All it takes is a little bit of a alcove gaming, you're invisible, and then you're out.
Love a bit of alcove gaming as Inori and Palafox continue to do well for Cloud9. They'll take down Dragon number 3 despite falling down in the top lane play. They're right back to business here as Palafox also going to go ahead and take the blue buff. He has 2 items including an Essence Reaver. Joining the play of the Ruin King. Inori is in fact going for Deathcap second, which is very greedy, but given again the way this game has gone for the jungler, I can approve of the purchase.
So many times does Deathcap just play better than a lot of the items that junglers are used to going, like the Oblivion Orb, but they're going for Fudge, who does have Flash.
Gonna try and get out of here. Winston with a stun. Ulti not used just yet. There's a suppression. Orange out. Flashes and Fudge is out to safety.
That's why you love Gangplank against Skarner. Oranges and you're okay.
Certainly just fine there, but did have to burn the summoner, so we'll see if an reattempt on the top laner's life does come in the next few moments.
So Winston has Flash coming up soon. Really would like to see him use that to take a kill somewhere. The repeat on top is a very viable option, like you're saying. Now that Gangplank has no flash, you could easily show up into that lane, and even just diving the Gangplank under the turret, you know that Jace has a ton of damage. So I'm looking at Winston to start building these plays back up, because when you're in this position as TSM, you just have to chain together a long series of picks, 7,000 gold. If you're legitimately thinking about how to win this game, you have one playmaking tool that is very hard to counter, and you have to use it until the enemy has just completely played to counter it. And when that happens, you hopefully are already ready to play an even game. But they're finding Winston instead.
Winston again, face checking, and just going to get CC to death. Diamond indeed alongside Tomo is going to be enough to take that one down. Good little poke there from Dokla and Lost, but not enough to save the jungler or get a trade kill. So that is going to open up the Baron now for Cloud9.
Yeah.
Oh, and this flank looks very scary, but for whom? For Treats. As the rest of C9 will turn, Treats get shredded, lucky to be alive. Cloud9 don't overcommit yet.
Dying around the Baron is so dangerous as a jungler. They are lucky that the members were low enough that they couldn't go into tanking Baron right away. Otherwise, they could have very easily lost that objective this early on, which is not where you want to be. They still have that flash, though, so TSM have to be playing around Winston to get these kills. I think Winston and Evolve can make a good duo to take individual members down, or even Dokla. The score lines don't matter. It's about who has damage and against whom.
Yeah, also curious to see if Evolve ever finds more of a foothold in the side lane, or if he's just committed to catching waves and team fighting. He does have a Zonius now, so his team fight prowess is much higher than it would have been with just the Gunblade. Rifthold also getting distracted. Dokla's actually going to... Oh, it's Season's Rifthold. That makes way more sense. I was like, what is happening here? But that's fine. It was running out, so Winston has to go ahead and drop it, and Dokla's going to accompany it down to the bottom outer tower now that I've figured out what's going on with Shelly and whose side she's currently on. We'll move back to the mid lane where TSM are just trying to get some vision back, Crumbs. Cloud9 have constantly been in their jungle, it feels like, for the last 5 to 10 minutes.
That is a really nice ward that they have placed, knowing that C9 is in this jungle the whole time. The one above or on the other side of the little mountain dragon terrain, that's often a place that teams won't really think about as a warding location, because so rarely do you actually play with the mountain dragon that it changes the dynamic of where you're going to be placing the wards. It's the same thing with all the new terrains, with the exception of wind. That doesn't really change vision, but Dokla is going to be jumping fudge. Dodges out of that same one. We got a 1v1 here.
Yeah, but not going to be a 1v1 for very long. Here's 2 more members of Cloud9, and Nori wants it. He is going to collect it, thinking that he should have bought the Magi's already.
Oh, man. Yeah. 4-kill Evelynn with a death cap. She is so scary, and it's really difficult for members to deal with her because the itemization is so hard. There's such an emphasis on high physical damage that you want to buy AD, you want to buy armor, you want to survive most of the team. But if Inori finds you, you then get one shot. So this is the kind of composition that really
oh no
junglers.
Oh, Lost gets completely deleted by Inori as Cloud9 are going to take the tier 2 off of mid as well. That was filthy. And whether he has it or not, Crumbs, he's playing like he's got the Magi's. I almost feel like it's guaranteed he's going to build it next.
Lost goes, Dear Diary, today I played a game against Evelynn as an AD, although I'm not really sure if I got to play the game.
Yeah, I mean, still had a pretty good laning phase. Certainly went better for Cloud9 than it's gone. Tomo's still up 30 CS, but Lost was still being competitive in the 2v2 and has been effective around the map. Has 3 items, feeling pretty good. And then Inori just crashing all those dreams.
And look at how you actually don't get to outplay it. He flashed in, right? He didn't proc the charm. He just flashed in, QER dead. And he teleports out, and you can't target him, and now he's invisible again. It is really scary. It really is like an AP Rengar.
Yeah, It gets to a point where it's like, you know, why am I even playing the game? And you know what? That's what Inori wants you to think, because that's why he picked the champion. Dokla going to be the next target of Inori's next upcoming execute. Oh, no. Flash into the solar flare. The sun's in his eyes as Diamond's going to go ahead and collect on, but Evolve looking to dance back around, but Powerfox has already taken down Dokla and Fudge in the backline as Evolve is trying to dance around and pick off a carry, but he's just got no squishy targets here. Going to have to dash out instead. Shuriken flips and flashes, but the arrow will be sidestepped, and Cloud9 clean up just about everyone as they'll look to take down the Baron.
It is a stomp pastry. C9 is just crushing this game, and the one play that I've been calling for, the Flash Skarner ultimate, just face palms right when they attempted it. At least they knew they had to go for it. I don't think Inori can one-shot Evolve at the moment, but maybe he can. He won't risk it.
I don't believe you anymore. I'm just assuming that Evelyn hit one-shot everyone. Also, Inori has a QSS, which he used in the last fight, so Winston can't even pick off the Evelyn as a potential target, which would be one of the better champions to take off the map and turn the game into a 5v4. Running out of options, though. Oh, they got the Soul as well. What is... It's a rough one here for TSM. 10,000 gold ahead for Cloud9. They've got the Soul, they've got the Baron. We might be looking at wrapping things up and pushing ourselves to match point, championship point, in fact, for Cloud9. We'll see what TSM have left in the tank, but Cloud9's upcoming assault is going to be awfully hard to stave off.
This is why the AD was calling for a pivot away from the Akali right away, because you needed some more games to know what Palafox is playing and what kind of matchups you can do well in. Now you just have more of the same. So from this next game, TSM is just going to have to roll the dice and figure something out and hope that it works. They're looking to find Leona, who's got Stoneplay, but Evelyn is in the mix. Yeah, looking for a 20 under Diamond, but he's just too tanky, and the damage is coming in hot. Inori is going to get assassinated, just barely dies. Evolved over the wall. He's going to try and run now for Diamond. Puts up the thumbs up. Diamond is going to put up his emote of his own, and that's going to be a stun and a kill as Tomo just barely going to get him with a volley right on the end of the arrowhead, but the rest of Cloud9 are pushing through mid, so Inori finally dies, will not receive his Madrais. His team will not be able to stack it up and get the solo queue finish of the fully stacked book, but not going to matter here as Cloud9 are going to look to end the Nexus for a second time in this series and push themselves up to championship point. Looking to take 2 in a row, Crumbs, as Cloud9 are on the precipice of taking down another Academy Championship, and they'll try and get a kill here before it's all said and done, because that's the fun thing to do, and everyone's a KDA player. Powerfox will finish off the Nexus alongside Diamond and Tomo, and we are going to have a very interesting game number 4, Crumbs, because it's starting to feel like TSM's first game was just a fluke. Just a fluke, or maybe champion related. The Kalista just turned this team into a complete monster, but every other draft, every other champion just doesn't seem to fit the same kind of style that TSM was so good at, and might have to do with what C9 had drafted as well. But this next game, TSM needs to do a drastic change of pace and just play to the bottom lane, I think, a little bit more. Like, yes, the solo lanes are struggling, but this is what allowed Winston, Treats, and Lost, 3 members, to show up and just run over the game. That looked to be like the better win condition, and that is why I also think that Raz really liked the Orianna pick for Evolve. Just put him in the mid lane, make sure you split even, and allow Dokla to play weak side like he does, and now bot lane can finally come online and blossom into the rotating 3-man squad that takes all the objectives and all of the kills. Yeah, well, whatever it is, Cloud9 have clearly found the formula for this particular series so far. We'll be stepping away, and when we return, the analysts will break down that win after the break.
Welcome back to Series Point for Cloud9 after putting 2 wins together in a row. 2-1 now stands the series score. All series long, we've been pointing out specific matchups, saying, hey, this game was decided by this difference or that difference. This time around, though, gents, it felt like a full team difference as the gold across the map was totally in favor of Cloud9.
For sure. Yeah. It was, you want to go ahead or me?
You got it.
All right, I got it. So, I just want to say that this is the Akali pick coming again early for TSM, and it is not working out again. Palafox, if I'm Palafox, I'm leaning back in my chair and laughing. Like, these guys picked Akali again. Didn't they learn from the last game? Palafox took 4 plates, had prio the entire game, and I'm sure Inori is loving it. He's like, thank you, Palafox. I love you, man. Now come get this scuttle crab with me. And it's just... I think it's just mid-diff right now. You can't keep doing this same strategy of picking Akali and then getting counterpicked by Lucian. And they picked red again, by the way. TSM picked red again. So they have to switch something up here.
I think also with the bot lane, we were hyping up Lost and Treats being able to kind of like being the bright point for TSM. And I think they knew that and tried to make another play down there, but they brute forced it really hard this time, and it just flipped on their head. It was basically a 2v3 that they got killed in, and then the GP still TP'd and stole the other kill. And then all 3 lanes are ahead at that point because you're naturally winning mid, like Alorum's saying. Your bot play went wrong, your top got ahead off of it, and this is what happens in a mid-game team fight when everything has gone wrong in the early game. You get absolutely clapped.
Yeah, Raz, this fight literally took place like 7 seconds after 15 minutes.
It's crazy because even if that hook landed from Nautilus, like they are way too far behind, and of course it feels bad if you're the Akali TPing into an already lost fight. Like it is absurd, and I want to echo the sentiment that Alarin made. Like, if you go up against, and for me it's more just like not having enough practice versus the pick. I think if you're playing against Akali, or if you're playing Akali in scrims, like you're getting challenged on the pick, you'll understand that maybe you don't want to go for the pick on 1-2 as frequently as they did, and they tried to challenge it by taking out the Gragas. But the issue is more so on the Lucian than it is the AP junglers. Like you can throw in even the Karthus. We've been seeing Karthus, we've been seeing Lilia. Like there are a lot of AP junglers that can stand on their own. The problem is Akali getting so far behind.
Wow.
It's huge.
I got deja vu right now.
Right. Seriously, that's basically the same damage distribution from the last
3
game.
supports.
Yep. Oof, that's
another thing as well, I actually didn't like the Skarner pick at all. I think if you're going into double range carries, into a GP that with barrels, and even a Leona, you don't really have many options, and you're getting kited permanently in team fights in a comp that's already far behind. So their mid jungle felt like a gap this game.
Yeah, you can see there that kind of spike around 15 minutes in the gold graph is that fight we took a look at, and from there it was smooth sailing for Cloud9. So I don't want to hyper-focus on this game and how it played out in the late. I do want to focus on how TSM Academy can recover from what has transpired.
What's happening?
There it is, right there.
We're done with this pick.
Don't you?
We're done with this pick.
Woo!
Oh
my God.
It was already broken. I'm just gonna put
Okay.
That you just made a lot of people very angry.
Yeah, I was like,
at
you
home.
went so far for this joke.
Is that a kid skin too?
Woo! Okay.
No
So
more Akali early. Later.
Orianna, we said it last time. We're gonna say it again. Orianna, please cat evolved, please.
Okay, so we're already going for one of the champ-select changes that we want to see. With TSM on red side, we want him to abandon the Akali pick and go more towards the Orianna. Here's another thing I want to ask you. Since we did put so much focus on that early, pre-game report card, I want to take another look at it and ask you guys to kind of reframe this very report card with the evidence we have of this series. Of course, Mark, I'm going to task you with defending.
Pastry.
Yeah, you're pastry.
You're
pseudo pastry here. So what are we thinking? Are we still happy with where we all landed here, or how do we maybe shift some of these scales?
All right.
I think everyone in the middle needs to get left. Take one step to the left. One hop this side. Like something like that. We got to get left closer
I'm
to
standing
Palafox.
by my bot lane decisions. But I will agree with you. Okay, you see me right there on the jungle. I'm moving over a little bit to left, but hold on, and junglers around the world are going to love
Here
me
we
to
go.
say this. Jung diff comes from lane diff, and it's the lane diff this series.
All right, so you're gonna give Inori a slight nod, but you're still saying that most of it's coming from that mid lane and Palafox.
If I'm Inori, I'm thanking Fudge and Palafox. Thank you guys. It's Jung diff for you.
Okay,
But I gotta say, I gotta say, Inori's a good jungler for that, though, because he's really aggressive. He likes playing damage-oriented champions, and if you're going to be playing from ahead because of the laner diff, as Alarm's saying, that's the play style you want, because you're going to absolutely blow those leads wide open. Evelyn's a great champion for doing that. You saw in the top lane, being able to kill them. Lost evaporated in some of these fights. Just boom, dead instantly from the Evelyn off having these gold leads.
So that's somewhere I want to go to next, Raz, is that conversation around what can work for TSM. Because we've talked about what isn't working in the Akali. But if we go back to game one, it was the bot difference. It was a Kalista, of course, something a little aggressive. Can TSM find something like that here in game 4?
I think this is an issue that has actually come through the entire split here for TSM Academy, because the reason why the stats don't look good for Catapult is because he's early picking his mid lane options, especially when they're on red side. So a lot of the time he's taking it for the team, and most of the time it's for mage options that are safe in lane, but this one is simply not. You need to empower Evolved. It's not all just on Lost on the bot side. Evolved is a great player. I hold firm on my report card. It's still a 50-50. It's not mid diff, it's draft diff. We need to see a change here for me. And we've been saying it consistently. I think Evolve will look much better if he's not put in such a debilitating position.
All right, okay. So that's got to be it. TSM looking for an answer at this point. We're at match point, but as we step away, we did hear from C9 Fudge on his journey from representing OS at Worlds to NA Academy. Don't go anywhere.
When you go to Worlds for the first time, especially when I was a rookie, I realized that there's a big difference between me and every other top laner. I started versing like top laners like Huni, and back then Huni was like a big obstacle for me because I was never ever versing a good top laner before.
Huni gets a heck of a good trade. Yeah, it's not fine, Fudge. Things are going pretty poorly there.
Playing against all the Worlds players was a big experience for me, and that I feel like actually led to a lot of my success even when I came to NA the next year. The start of Split 2, Huni was actually playing in Academy and I versed him, and I felt like I had improved a lot because when I started versing him, I realized that I'd actually become like a similar skill level to him. It actually like helped me with my confidence even more. The next step is to establish myself as a good top laner even in the LCS. If we win finals and we look good in finals, I think it's like the best showcase for us to actually make LCS next year.